Hello, magical wizards. How are you guys
Hi.
today? Good. Yes, unmute yourself,
Hello.
Leela. Unmute. Be free. Um,
Love that you knew that's what I was doing.
Today, we gathered as some of the wizards that have been part of Cassie's Wizard's Way for the last 12 months. And as we prepare to go into another seasons of wizardry, we wanted to share some of the insights of how it's been for us going through this whole membership program, whatever you want to call it, gathering for a whole year together. So we've gathered some wizards and we'd just like to share what it's like to be in this group, what this group has given us, what we've noticed within ourselves, and some magical moments that have come up over the year for us. And if you have any questions about thinking, like, is this the right thing for me? I hope these stories that we're going to share, these insights, guide you to choose what's best for you. And yeah, so my first kind of question to the group is what surprised you the most about yourself?
I can speak to something that I've been like, this is something that keeps me coming back because I've been with Cassie for a long time. And what surprised me is when I don't like to compare, but I've been taking a lot of different other classes, but there is this special inclusiveness and kindness that Cassie has that kind of makes me open up in a other way than I could ever do in another setting. And it's not just being nice and kind, but it's like a beckoning of what I'm hiding within myself that I didn't even know about. Because from the time that I started working with her and now, she has made me come out of the shell and kind of beckoning me to see my own abilities in a way that I didn't even think was possible, that I didn't even know that I had. So she's been continuously luring out more and more of my magic. So that's why coming back, but because I want more of that, I want all of it.
That's a really amazing acknowledgement of that beckoning. I feel like I feel that too. That calling. There's this like tethering she has to just bring you to you and then bring you out to the world in this
Yeah.
really loving way. So thank you for sharing that. Does anybody else have something to share that surprised them?
Yeah. Hi. I I think the main thing for me was the vulnerability, right, within the group. And I stepped into that. And I love how she's like all for whatever comes up. Cassie is like, let's dive, let's go into it, let's clear it, let's whatever it takes. And having that support throughout the year and our little well, in our cluster was just amazing to have that. And yeah, the growing part that I was just like, wow, comparing like the beginning of the year to the end as we're coming towards this part of it. And it's just like, yeah, I'm definitely more sure or like trust myself more. And so that additional support really aided that.
I love what you're saying because the thing is, it's not only Cassie. Because as you were talking about it, I sense this. There has been moments where it's easy to be hesitant of take up too much time or bring this up. And every time someone has felt that way, everyone just rushes in and kind of praises. And it's always turned out to be a gift to almost everyone. So that's been the magic too of using that in a very positive and opening way for everyone.
Hey everyone, my name is Viola, and I just wanted to take a moment to share my fantastic experience with the Wizard's Way. Honestly, being in this container completely changed my approach to magic because I used to be one of those people who kind of underlooked it. I'd said, yeah, well, I believe in magic, but also I thought some things were a little bit too woo-woo for me or even made me cringe a little bit. But My life shifted dramatically since joining the program because I now acknowledge and actively include magic in my life. And it shows up for me in really incredible ways. Thanks to Cassy, her energy and powerful facilitation. I think there is no place she cannot get to. There is so much more I'd like to share, but just a short video doesn't seem to be enough. But I would like to mention the community. It felt like having a little family behind you of people, wonderful, magical, powerful people who genuinely have your back and are really cheering for you. And I think in today's fast-paced, reactive world, having moments to reconnect with the community and really have each other's back and explore topics I probably wouldn't have considered otherwise is truly, truly special.
For me, one of these things that kind of surprised me, but I didn't even know was part of like the whole year was, playing with your, magical creatures. I had never thought that that's something that existed in my world. And then we did that whole month on magical creatures, and so much changed in my personal world. And I actually got the chance, because that capacity is now opened, I had the chance with a friend of mine. She was going into some energy, and I was like, this is going to sound like a weird question, but I'm just ask a bunch of questions. And I was like, entity, demon. And then I was like, hey, no, that's not the right one. And then I was like, is it a creature? She was like, oh my God. And it just came in so fast. I was just like, okay, cool. And we just, went about our day. And like, I didn't even know that capacity was there for me for choosing. And that I think was probably one of the biggest surprises I had, because I had a lot of resistance to that month. But after that month, I was like, oh, that's really cool.
That's funny because like that the creature magical creature month for me too. It was just like I resisted it. I was like, oh my gosh, that's something else for me to get tangled in or whatever. So I was like, I'll just cut it off, like whatever. And then now it really opened me up too, because now I'm like, oh, I could just like, hey, what's up, creature? And then see you later. And you know what I mean? And then conversate. And I was just like, of course, the processing through that to be able to relax and be able to talk to creatures and stuff and play with them was really neat too.
Yeah.
Um, I also want to say I, was it the month of gold or it was just, what was that about? Like, was that
Money.
a money? And we played with gold. That call was just, it blew my mind.
I
That
still put
was
on my
the
gold, and
biggest
I'm
shift
like,
for me.
I tap into that energy of that class, and I'm like, or that like session. I'm like, okay, those what, 3 days we did that?
Right. And it wasn't like 20 minutes. That was like hours with each other, really like being able to be in that energy and play and interact with it. Um, which is, I was like, what are we going to talk about for more than 2, 3 hours? And I like, okay. And then I was like, I couldn't get enough,
Yeah.
because it was just like, I want more, I want more. Oh, another day of this back to back. Okay, cool. So yeah, that was really fun. And that taught me a lot about like receiving in my own life because I have actual physical pieces of gold and I never like immersed myself in it. Like I never allowed myself to be able to just be in that. And it was I had to adjust for like 2, 3 days after to like really keep receiving because there was so much that I kind of denied for a while. And that was just hilarious. That was just like my mind was blown. It was so cool.
The multi-day experiences, that did surprise me. That was something that surprised me because we had like the calls laid out and we kind of knew what the format was going to be. And then there were these bonus retreat situations thrown in there. And I was like, and they were all like Angelica said they were all just like something amazing happened every time after everyone. Um, the other thing for me is how much my stuff came up in other people. So, like 3 calls ago, at the end of the call, Cassie was facilitating someone and anger came up for them. And I got off the call and I was sitting literally in this spot right here. And then I was just angry. And I was like, well, that's weird. Is it mine? Turned out it was. We were having parallel experiences. And that's not the first or last time that's happened, but it's always surprising to me that someone will be being facilitated and I'll be like, yeah, me too.
There's so many of that happens in like all the classes you go through. That's why like questions are so great because if you have a question, probably somebody else has a question. What I really love about the group is we can go into those and we see how it's that question's opening up things for everybody else. Like I think Joanna was pointing on, which makes, I don't know, for me personally, I feel less detached from my experience on these calls. I'm more in the experience and I can shift through things a lot easier, especially like, I mean, I didn't know we were going to do movie clearings. And those clear a shit ton. And you're like with your peeps, you're like in the moment, things are coming up, you're clearing them right away. And so I feel like there's a level of engagement that I haven't gotten taking, um, especially like the online space, taking classes like that, when I really do feel like there is such different engagement, be it in the chat, be it in just speaking to each other, being like, who has this, seeing a whole bunch of hands go up and just really feeling like if we're collectively clearing even deeper than what we're consciously, cognitively, I should say, aware of. I had another
Yeah.
question, but yeah, go Leela, go.
Oh, I was just gonna say that unique to Cassie is when someone's being facilitated, she also facilitates the group. Like if this is going for you, and if it's not going for you, maybe think about it this way or that way. And then it allows us to not just get like the secondhand facilitation, but it also allows us to get our own facilitation while somebody's being spotlighted. I love that.
That's really amazing. Yeah, I noticed that too. Um, what is different? I know this is sometimes a heated question, but what's different about either you, your environment, your life, how you perceive things, your awareness from where you were a year ago to now? What's one or two things, if it comes to mind?
I can say I've delved much more deeper into capacities and like kind of acknowledge that they are there, because my initial reaction to stuff like that is to kind of shy away from it or kind of be like, yeah, well, it's nothing, or yeah, everybody can do it, or but to really delve into it. And that has actually made it grown. And like a flower bud kind of folding out its petals to kind of be able to dive deeper into it and play with it more engaged and more present.
Yeah, amazing. I definitely can second that for sure. The deepening of your capacities, whatever they may be. I sometimes feel if I go onto a 1 day class or I'm trying to work the tools on my own and shit's coming up for me, that's usually when the call's coming right up. And you're like, okay, great. I can like work through some shit because, it's one to get a tool and to go play with it. And it's another thing to get the tool, go play with it, and then have that guidance, have that support, have that continuation, like you're saying, that deepening. And for this to go on for a whole year, I think that just even heightens what Joanna was saying, that like you can really go deep with yourself.
No, just amen that. My first big access class was Foundation Online. And I think that it was a unique experience because I got to leave class and then come sit at the kitchen table with my family and be like, well, I thank God I have tools today, because you people are still you people. And I feel like that is the benefit of this experience as well, because we get tools and then we get to take those tools into our life and then we get to go back in a week or three and be like, I took those tools into my life and I smacked people with them and they may or may not have worked. So I don't know, I might need some more clearings. So that's one of the things that I love about this kind of experience. And after that foundation, I was just like, somebody should do a monthly situation because we need this.
Angelica, anything to add?
Yes. Um, from the beginning, it was I for me, I noticed I have a greater sense of who I am compared to before because I felt like I was always like thrown about with like what does, engaging with like muggles, right? And I'm like, how do I talk to people? Like, what do I do? And I was usually in the affective, like kind of thrown around. And then having this year with you guys really helped to break apart what isn't me, what is me, keep checking in, fine tuning, refining. And then, of course, the support with that is just, it's incredible to where I can look back now. I'm like, yeah, wow, who was that? Who was that girl that was for kind of freaking out at like this, that, or the other? Um, and having yeah, the stronger knowing of like how I can talk to people, interact, and not sway from my being, you know, just it's so easier to tune back into me. Because, we do interact with other people and you can hop out and then, okay, well, who am I? And then um, just do that much more like efficiently and fast and um, keep going on.
Yeah, I think to that note also, the biggest difference I can see in myself, because a lot of my world hasn't changed, like physically speaking, but I can look at a conversation now, I can be in a conversation, and I almost observe it in a way I've never observed it before. And I can catch myself being like, I'm going into story. Oh, it's like that, the fine tuning of the skills is like read a book and you don't apply the tools, or you apply the tools and then life hits you over the head. But to observe conversation, to step into conversations now, and like you were saying, be you still in that conversation, I've definitely noticed I'm different in that regard, which excites me to be like, okay, well, then how does that then translate, change, impact the rest of my world? And I think for all of us, we all had these like catapult moments throughout the year where I catapulted something, and then months later, Claire catapulted something, and then Shannon, like we all had these different moments of like, vroom, and they were all different. It wasn't like one magical month, we all got it. It was like this continuation of just seeing each other propel in our own worlds, crumble in our own worlds, but crumbling to actually, like Cassie was saying at the beginning, like reset our foundation at the end, and how that's kind of built, we rebuilding aspects of life in a completely different way. And yeah, I can notice in myself how that's different. The foundation's different.
I think I needed you to say that so I could have clarity on like how to articulate this because my outside world looks much the same with more construction. For those of you who don't know, my house has been under construction for like 2 years. It's been a party.
We've been with her every
Um,
step of the way.
Yes. Um, but and it would have been a challenge. It is still sort of a challenge for me to like pinpoint that like Wizards Way did this and these other things did this, but there is that anchor of this community and this connection and these calls every month that was with me every step of the way. And I am a vastly different emotional human than I was a year ago. Um, I would say I'm more solid, I'm more confident, and I have walked through some like serious life drama. Just like, all right, this is happening, which is wild and huge comparatively.
Yeah, I think all of us kind of leveled up that way of being, of life drama, just been like, and this is happening. Okay. And I know we always celebrate each other too, and we acknowledge these moments. We're just like, yes. Just want to read the chat because Joanna popped in. All change is not visible from the outside, but inside changes everything in my world. And it's true. First energetics, and then the reality kicks in. Before we hop off this beautiful sharing, I was wondering if there's anything you guys would like to share that I haven't asked, or something that's been on your mind or your heart to share with the world about how this Wizard's Way has contributed to your world. Any final thoughts or what
I do.
someone might need to know? Yes,
I
go,
do, because
Joanna.
I always felt like weird, like I don't fit in. And this is like, oh, here are my people. It's been such a huge thing, actually, to find other weirdos in a good way to play with and have fun with exploring things that is of interest to me. So that has been really a big thing.
I would just say if you feel the invitation to join, then join. Don't think about it. Don't overthink it. Just come and see what your life is like in a year.
There was so much wow moments for me, like throughout the whole thing, that um, it really, the group setting really helped with my confidence and like stepping forward and knowing like whatever pops up, like I've got it. You know what I mean? Like the whole logical stuff, it doesn't even like logical worry doesn't even phase me really anymore because I'm like, oh, well, we've gone through this and this and this and this and this throughout the year. I've there's so many times where I could like acknowledge the changing moments for me that I'm much more cool, relaxed, and yeah, for to be able to ask for change, even though if it's not super physical, visible on the outside, I definitely feel it, and I know I'm carrying that forward, and that is like the foundation that I'm choosing to have going forward. So I loved it. I absolutely loved it.
Aw, that's amazing. Um, Something that I would love to share with everybody is Cassy speaks about magic in a way that I think people try and speak about magic about, but she literally embodies it. And that showed me more magic than I thought possible. Like we hear of, getting a car parking spot is magic. And some people acknowledge that as magic or not. But for me, that was kind of like everyday magic. And then there's like this phenomenal side of magic that she just opened my world to. And that I find is so special and speaks to so many people. And it's a time in our world where we're being asked to tap into our magic, but some of us are like, I don't know how. And so if you're like, I don't know how, but I feel called to do it, like just like Leela said, jump in because it's gonna unravel for you and you're gonna be shown it and guided to it in a way that is, like Joanna said, so playful. And we go deep in these conversations. There's no beating around the bush with Cassy. You got to bring something up. You're gonna bring it up and you're gonna clear it out. And the group is all gonna be there supporting you. It's so worth it. Yeah, totally. And also you kind of have this little thread to anything if you are inclined on the access side, you want to get like the latest updates because she's a facilitator so closely, interwoven. I don't know if I have to cut this out, but you get those immediate updates. So your world is expanding as she's taking classes, as it's all changing. Your world is changing with that. And that's a very unique, I think, experience. And just her years working the tools in her own world um, ripple into your world. So I wanted to let people know about that little tidbit on the side. But yeah. Um, okay. Thanks, Wizards, for joining me on this little look behind the curtain. What's the Wizard's Way and how has it changed our lives with Cassie Summer? And yeah, enjoy the rest of the festival, everybody. And we'll see you in the next iteration of Wizardry. See you
Thank
soon.
you.
Bye.